Hello, my beautiful fellow humans. Today is an amazing day and I'm honored to be here sharing it with you. We do things differently here on this channel, so keep in mind with that moving forward. There may be triggering statements that arise, but there's no obligation to force it to fit, while remembering that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. And if the messages do happen to resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below, while also remembering that your time and your energy are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm honored to be here sharing it with you. So welcome back to Scatter Love Tarot with another pick a card reading. Today we are revealing a hidden secret you don't know. So this could be something that pertains to your intuition, like something that you're intuitively feeling, but maybe that you don't know for certain. But we are going to get into it. It's something that Source wants you to know, and I felt called to using the Bird Messages by Susie Green. So we'll go ahead and hop to that. But before we do, let us open with a prayer and we'll get this reading underway. All right. My beloved Source, this prayer is for everyone here. Today, I ask that you bring us grace, truth, light, understanding, understanding. Help us to observe the world around us with keen and clear eyes, to see with eyes of unconditional love. Sometimes it's hard. We see the world in this very fine balance where we're at a tipping point. Things are shifting across the collective, and we see an old paradigm that is holding on for dear life, not wanting to be phased out, not wanting to be pushed aside, wanting to continue. And yet this paradigm has served its purpose. And many of us are getting caught up in that push and pull dynamic. Everyone is trying to find what is best for themselves as they're trying to align with their highest good, and where we're all fighting to be our truest authentic selves. Not speaking the truth from the emotional ego, but speaking the truth from our soul. How do we find a clear-cut, concise way to do that? How do we step into an empowered state of being? This answer is going to be vastly different for each and every one of us, but it can bring with it some necessary truths, some validating feelings, and some understanding that will help us move flawlessly forward along our journeys. So today I ask that you help us step into this path of our purpose, into this path of our light, into this path of our soul, so that we can become more aligned with the truth of who each and every one of us are at our soul. As these words are spoken upon this tribe, so shall they be. Amen. Aho. Ase. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my beloved Source. Thank you. All right, so it's a new chapter. We're also in the midst of Mercury retrograde in Pisces, so keeping that in mind, I am a Pisces, and so I've got tons of Pisces placements. So bear with me. I might stumble a bit, but I'm going to show you it's the human thing to do, right? None of us are trying to be perfect. We're not aiming for perfection here. At least we shouldn't be. And especially a shout out to you, my Virgos, knowing that you guys are always trying to strive for perfection. Let loose. Be easier and kinder on yourself in this time. Okay, we've just ended a Pisces Virgo 1.5 eclipse season. So this is a very big ending to a chapter for us, even if it is not something that is crashing down on us. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it today, and we're going to find out. We're going to be revealing a hidden secret you don't know. So Source, what oracle cards are going to help us better understand this message today? Revealing a hidden secret you don't know. Revealing a hidden secret you don't know. All right. Pile 1. Revealing a hidden secret you don't know. What oracle card will help us better understand this message today? Thank you. All right, pile 2, revealing a hidden secret you don't know. Wow, thank you. All right, pile 3, revealing a hidden secret you don't know. What oracle card will help us better understand this message today? Thank you. All right, what's the collective energy? What a beautiful message. We have green hair in here. Profit through learning and observation. So this feels like somebody's acting a certain way. You know, it could be what I was feeling earlier about push and pull dynamic. This could also be someone who is very greatly trying to manipulate you in a sense of how they're showing up. They're trying to gaslight you, or they're trying to love bomb you, or they're trying to take control of the situation itself. Right now, the thing is that regardless of the secret, right, Source is giving you advice in this collective reading, which is to observe the situation from a detached state, not being so emotionally connected. Even if you are emotionally connected, how can you take a couple of breaths and recenter yourself and come from a balanced place? But also seeing, what is this reflecting back to me about myself? Is this something that I'm ignoring myself? Is this something where maybe I'm not giving back to myself? Is this something where I am postponing self-love? Is this situation asking me to give more to myself, or to be more present with this connection, or with this job, or with this project? What is it asking of me? And it's not to say that it's not toxic. I do feel like there is some toxicity here for many people, but I'm also recommending that this is something that when you take a look at what Source is saying, is that if you see what it's reflecting back to yourself, this is a part of your fragmented soul that you can untangle and allow to integrate back into the whole. The world outside of us is a direct reflection of what's going on internally within. And sometimes that's really, really difficult for people to grasp onto and allow that to be a part of their lives. And it's because it's easier for us to blame others. It's easier for us to give others power over us. It's easier for us to take a step back instead of taking accountability for the strength, the choices, and the abilities and skills that we have in each situation, because that comes from an old paradigm, that comes from an old way of being, and that comes from an old social construct that has been passed down for generations. And so with the green hair in here, it's reminding us that the valid thing here is not necessarily about what this person or this situation is doing, but where we'll find the most strength, the most knowledge, and the most useful bit of information to move forward is by seeing, how does this directly reflect on something that is internally bothering me? How is this reflecting on something that is internally within me that I may need to see and face by myself? This journey is a very difficult journey, but even so, it can be a very beautiful journey, and it can bring us into a place of enlightenment of ourselves and what power and truth we have in this manifestation world. And that's not something that we all necessarily are ready to grasp onto, but it is something that bit by bit we can chip away at the emotional ego that keeps us in perpetual cycles, saying we can't look at that part of ourselves. We can't look at the truth of that, because if we do, then I'm seeing parts of myself that I don't necessarily like, or I'm seeing that maybe I had choices in situations that I felt stuck or stagnant in and felt like I didn't have a choice. And sometimes that's really hard for us to face, because we need somebody to blame. But what if there's really no one to blame? What happens then? It takes away the need for the emotional ego to be right. And instead we come into a space of allowing the soul to guide us through the twists and turns that are on our journey, and the twists and turns that are the soul journey, and the twists and turns that are the shadow journey. And through that, we can open up to a deeper understanding of how we can show up from a grounded place. So green heron says, indigenous fishermen of lakes, marshes, and mangroves. Heron stands motionless, waiting for dinner to swim by. Once heron lived by a park's calm lake in Japan, dining on the fishy delicacies within. Ornamental carp lived there too, fed by human on bread and other morsels that heron disdained. Heron watched human with his intense yellow and black eyes and observed how many fish came to eat the bread. Soon, heron was flicking bread into the lake himself. His dinner was served. He became a problem solver, right? He learned for himself how to survive for himself. If heron is standing sharp-eyed in your cards, consider his wisdom. Heron observes, learns, and reaps the benefit of his new knowledge. And so may you. If you've been thinking of learning a new skill, this is the time to do it. If you envy the success of another, cast envy aside and, like heron, profit by careful observation of their skills. So this is about stepping away from the emotional ego itself and truly observing what's in front of you. Like if you're angry at somebody, what is driving that anger? If you are hurt by someone, what is driving that hurt, right? Like asking yourself, and what solutions are there for you? You don't have to find a solution for the other people in the situation or these scenarios. It's finding a solution for yourself, and observing that solution for yourself might actually surprise you in how much it might bring balance to the entirety of the situation. And things might unfurl in a way that bring a lot of calm and peace and patience back to your life, okay? So for pile number 1, we do have this dice with the 8th house on it for you. Or we have this root chakra, red jade stone with the seed sound lam on it. Pile number 2, we have this dice with the 6th house on it. Or we have this heart chakra jade gemstone with the seed sound yam on it. Okay. We have this dice for the 3rd pile with the 1st house on it. Or we have this amethyst gemstone with the crown chakra seed sound om on it. So pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3, and whichever pile you feel called to, that should be the one for you, and I will see you over there. Hello, my beautiful humans. Welcome back. If you're new here, thanks for joining us. If you were drawn to pile 1 with this dice in the 8th house, or perhaps you were called to this red jasper gemstone for the root chakra with the seed sound lam on it. Or maybe you were drawn to this card during the shuffle. This is going to be a reading on revealing a secret you don't know. So I do things differently here on this channel. If the messages resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Triggering statements may arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit. Remembering that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our own healing journey. Your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm so grateful to have you here. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and hop to it and find out a hidden secret you don't know. Pile 1. Revealing a hidden secret you don't know. the 10th house, the South Node, and Scorpio. And it's great that Scorpio came up, also revealing that this is a secret. So there's something here about work. What you're putting your efforts into for work, for recognition. There's something here of the past that might be clinging on. But I feel like you're blindsided by it, though. There's this energy where you're not seeing it as the burden or the barrier or the block that it is. You know that this is the direction that you want to go in, but you keep trying to do the same things you're doing before that aren't actually getting you where you want to go. They're not getting you the same results, or they're not getting you the results that you desire. And there's a sense of manipulation that's coming in here. It's almost like you're trying to manipulate outcomes, which is not a bad thing, right? Like when we have that power, we should do that. But this is about like trying to manipulate a source, right? Like saying like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and then it's gonna work out the way that I want it to. But then when it doesn't, there's a lot of defeat, and there's a feeling of almost like it just feels, yeah, defeat. Like that's what's coming in, like as if I did something wrong. A broken heart almost, because you're giving so much time and energy to this situation or this job or this project. But it's like the way you're going is not the way you've been. And that's what I'm hearing. It's like the way that you're going is not the way that you've been. And how can you open up to new possibilities and new inspirations and new ideas in regards to this project that you've been pouring your heart and soul into? And I feel like that's the thing. There's a sense of where you're learning how to be super authentic for yourself, but transmitting that authenticity into something where you're learning how to create or to build something that earns you money can be challenging, right? There's that sense of professionalism that you have to follow, or there's that sense of I have to fit in so that people accept me, or I have to be this person that, you know, is not necessarily incongruent with my authenticity, but it's something that's more acceptable here. And I feel like that's something maybe you've dealt with for your whole life, is feeling misunderstood or feeling like you can't be who you are because, you know, maybe you deal a lot with shadow work, or you are someone who speaks a lot of truths, or you're someone who makes people uncomfortable by digging into the shadow. And that feels very uncomfortable for people, but they're saying is that when you let go of this discomfort, you're going to blossom in a way that you didn't realize. But let's dig a little bit deeper into this and see what more comes out. Yeah, it just feels like you're giving away your power to the situation itself. Like you're not trusting that you're worthy of manifesting what you want by going in the direction that you want. Something that you love. But it's almost like, well, I love it, but I don't think other people will love this. Or, you know, it's like if you're drawing art, like everybody wants something that's happy-go-lucky and positive, but maybe your art's a little bit darker and a little bit more melancholy, and yeah, it has a depth to it that's very beautiful, enchanting, and enriching. But you're worried because it's like everybody wants something that's bright and in your face and happy rainbowy colors, but that's just not who you are when you make art. And this is just an example, right? So you like try to find some middle ground. Well, what if I do this? Or what if I try this instead? And that's somewhere in the middle. Like I'm still incorporating these bright colors that I don't like into this this project, but you know, I'm trying to compromise myself so that I'll fit in. That's what this feels like. Whoa. And you might not see it that way. Like that's the thing. I feel like this is something that's almost habitual, and it's so habitual that looking at it becomes scary, because it's like, well, no, because I feel like I'm being authentic to myself. I feel like I'm being who I am at my core. But yeah, it just feels like it's almost like you're not aware of it just yet. Although you are aware that you've not been accepted in certain ways growing up. Yeah, you've been surrounded by a lot of negativity, a lot of judgment. So that judgment is something that's driving your project right now, or driving the way that you're working, or it's driving the way that you're showing up at your work. That judgment was really harsh. It was like, and really demeaning. And I feel like at times very isolating. But accepting yourself with the Ace of Cups here is how you're going to overcome this fear of not being seen or not being accepted in whatever it is that you're putting forth so much effort to. Let's see what else comes out here. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's time. So let's talk about the Hermit in reverse here. Extreme caution, right? Because of past situations. So I'm fearing the future because of my past. I'm turning my back on my past. I'm trying to sweep it under the rug. I'm trying not to let it get the best of me, while not realizing that it's actually something that is driving you forward. So there could be someone here at work, or there's been situations in regards to your project, like maybe you've shared your project with others and they've said something about it. And so you unknowingly have tried to kind of fit yourself into some mold where you wouldn't be so harshly judged, or where you wouldn't be so hurt by the things that they said. Because it's like, well, if I'm hurt but I'm not authentic to myself, then it's not as deep as being so vulnerable and being myself and putting myself out there when I'm super vulnerable. And it cuts further than skin deep, right? Like it cuts all the way down to the bone. And so that hurts more, and I don't want to get hurt like that. So that's why you're like withdrawing yourself here. And there's a need to face this fear, because this fear is actually what's keeping you from finding success. And it's because it's keeping you from being true to yourself. And it does feel like this has to do with money. Okay, this has to do with how you're earning money. So maybe you want to get a raise, or you want to get a different position, or you're trying to get a higher position, a promotion. It's almost as if, like, if I ask from the point of being true to myself, then they say no, then I feel like I am personally getting rejected, that it's something that I personally have done. But if you're asking the way that other people have asked, it's like, well, those people are getting rejected. So it's not actually something that I did. It's not actually me that's getting rejected. It's their processes that are getting rejected. It's the way that they've shown up. But we're letting go of that. We're letting go of the caution. Like sometimes you have to throw caution to the wind. Sometimes you have to take a risk for yourself. Yeah, you are surrounded by negative people. You've been surrounded by negative people. But just because of that, that doesn't mean that everybody's going to treat you like that moving forward, which I know, Pile 1, is hard to see, especially when that's how it's always been. How can it be any different when that's the way it's always been? And it's just reframing how you look at that. The people from my past were not for me, but the people that I'm meeting now are trying to help me become the most successful version of myself. Because that's what Source has promised me. And that's what my guides are leading me to. And that's what my angels are helping to unfold in my life. But there's also this looking at yourself. It's like the way you see yourself has also been a reflection of the way you're perceiving others seeing you. So it's like when others are judging you, or even if they're not saying anything, you're perceiving that judgment, right? You're perceiving that judgment. So when others are doing that, it's like you're automatically trying to fill in the blanks there. Oh, well, they're judging me, and they're judging me because of the way I'm dressed. They're judging me because of the way I talk. They're judging me because of the way I look. They're judging me because of the way I believe things. And that can be really hard, because what you're doing is like, regardless if they're saying it or not, you're the one that's amplifying that within your mind. And that's why this is a secret that you don't know. Right? And again, I never know how these readings are going to go until we get into them, the energy and where it's taking us. But Source is more focused on the fact here is that there's something that you need to let go of that has been secretly driving your life. And it's a way of being. And asking you to be true to yourself has been a huge challenge for you, because I don't want to get my heart broken again, which is completely understandable. But if you're approving and accepting yourself, if you're recognizing and seeing yourself, right? The Ace of Cups, it's not about a fresh new love. That's not what the Tarot Marseille talks about. The Ace of Cups is about love between you and your God. The connection that the two of you share. It's between love and your higher self, the connection that you share, and how that amplifies your ability to walk confidently in this physical world from a state of balance and a state of trust of self. And it can be something that's overflowing, but it can also be something that's incredibly draining, just depending on where you're coming from. Are you following your faith, or are you following the faith of others? Are you following the validation of others? What is it that you're relying on to get you through? Right? So if you're not seeing it with your own two eyes just yet, are you trusting that it's coming, or are you trusting what people might be saying negatively about you? Are you trusting what people are maybe projecting negatively at you? What weighs more on your heart? And that's the thing. I feel like right now, that's what Source is saying. There's excess caution here. But what we're highlighting is letting this go with the Four of Wands, allowing yourself to shore up old habits, old beliefs, old ideas, old paradigms in your life. And that can be the challenge, but it's something that will free you in the long run. And the reason why this is a secret that's being revealed to you now is because you're ready to hear it. But this has been a secret driving force of your life for quite a while, and especially in the way that you show up when you work. Any type of work, whether that's side projects, your day-to-day life, careers that you're shooting for, even in school. There's something here that's been driving you, and I feel like it is approval of others. Even if you're not realizing that it's approval of others, it's being seen as I fit in, because there's this essence of feeling ostracized just for being you. And you never deserved that, Pile 1. That was not something that you ever deserved. But even more so, you deserve to accept yourself. Even if no one in the world accepts you, which is highly unlikely. Right? There's a lot of people out there, and there's a lot of people for each person. It's just that you've been around people who don't get you, and that's okay. Right? You're moving on from that. You're creating your own path, and that path promises you that someone somewhere will see your value, but you must first see that yourself. But if you're not valuing yourself, it's going to be really hard for you to set those boundaries and ask people to value, respect, and honor you, because you're not giving that to yourself first. And that's why needing to throw caution to the wind is allowing yourself to be vulnerable in that state. I'm just going to be true to myself. If it has to do with shadow work, pour into shadow work. Share that wisdom with others. If it has to do with the way you see love, give that to others. If it has to do with the way that you see the world and the workings of the world, give that to others. Don't be afraid to share your opinions. Even if it's sometimes you stumble, let yourself be human. Yeah, Scorpio energy again. Intensity, exposing, purging, and renewing. This is an opportunity for a rebirth for you to step up into a more abundant time of your life. Not necessarily abundant in monetary gain, but abundance internally. And once you feel like that internally, you'll be able to manifest that externally. Right now, it's like everything is holding on by a thread because you don't feel like you can be true to yourself. Because you feel like everybody in the world is going to judge you, or they're going to make you feel bad about being you. But the truth is that Source made you, and Source doesn't make mistakes. You're not a mistake. Nothing about you is a mistake. Everything about you is unique and beautiful and wonderful. But I can tell you that until I'm blue in the face, it won't mean anything until you start taking steps to believe that yourself, even if that's a long and grueling journey. But with Scorpio energy coming out, it's also connected to the 8th house, which is facing our fears. This is a great, great fear that has held the reins on your journey for so long, and you have unknowingly allowed it to. And that's okay. That's what those subconscious responses or reactions are, right? We're now becoming aware of them. So we have water dragon here, helps you flow easily around obstacles. Christ, light, and love are flowing. Develop your psychic abilities. Go with the flow, right? The breaker of barriers here. We're breaking this barrier. This is something that has blocked you for a long time. Okay, this could even be a person, letting go of a person at work, or some type of connection at work. So let's see what more we can get regards to this. Revealing a secret you don't know. Freedom. I possess the power and the free will to create my own happiness. We're trying to help you set yourself free. On the bottom, regret. I know that I cannot change the past. Exactly. There's nothing we can do. We can't go back and say, oh, we have a time machine. I'm going to change the past so that I don't have to deal with this. I'm going to change the past so that I don't have to feel this. This is a part of life. It's just what you've experienced. And that's something that actually creates more depth to you. Comfort. This is stepping out of your comfort zone, right? It's been so running in the background for so long. It's become a comfortable reaction to certain things that have unfolded in your life, which the South Node is something that we've been uncomfortably comfortable with for longer than we care to admit. All right, what else? Solo. Revealing a secret you don't know. Revealing a secret you don't know. Revealing a secret you don't know. Okay. On the bottom, we have anniversary. Birthday, holiday, important day. You know, and this again, like with birthday here, it's like celebrating yourself, right? Even your anniversary, when you have an anniversary with someone, you celebrate this time that you have shared with this person. It's not just you celebrating this person. It's the time that you've shared with this person, right? We have solo, core figure, action leader, and lone hero. This is a lonely road. But it's worth it because you're gaining so much wisdom. You're gaining experience. You're gaining the authority of your life, right? So with book energy here, it's all about gaining that wisdom. All right, so we've got Earth energy, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, persistence, patience, and practicality. So showing up from a practical mind, right? And allowing yourself to discover what it is that means the most to you. Do you want success in what it is that you're pursuing? Do you want success enough to show just how authentic you are to people, even though it's scary? Blue dragon, or dark blue galactic dragon, helps you listen to the voice of the universe, ignites the codes of your master blueprint, access cosmic wisdom, and enter higher service. Yeah, so you're meant to be of service to others because of this beautiful light that you carry. But it can be frightening because it's asking you to give a part of yourself that's been deeply judged. But you are strong enough. You have the strength to do so. Okay, again, the pillars, like the pillars from the bottom of this card too. Okay, you're the one that's breaking the obstacle here. No one can break it for you. You break it for yourself. Then we have destiny, responsibility, road, and shackles. Sometimes our greatest responsibility is actually the things that shackles us to a cage or imprisons us because of our fears. We feel that sense of duty. We feel that sense of need for expression. But it's also the thing that we fear the most because we fear the most of being judged from our most vulnerable place. But the destiny and your road is calling to you. And I feel like responsibility will win. but remembering that it's okay for you to be seen as you are in this moment. So let's take a look at this card. I'm going to read this from the book. We have the Kill Build Toucan, take time out for fun. So you could be getting a little too serious with your work as well. Like, oh, I need to do this or I need to do this, and overwhelming yourself. But I do feel like that comes from also that wound. It's like, I have to take things serious. I have to be super professional. Or I have to, do these things that I know that is acceptable by society. Maybe you're goofy and loud and silly and you say weird things. And sometimes you say things that don't even make any sense, but that's just who you are. It's okay to show people that side of you because that's true to who you are. That's not weird. That's normal. It's being you, and that's beautiful. It says, Toucan makes her home in Central and South America's lowland forests. Her work, the serious matter of gathering insects, plundering nests, and above all, gathering the riches of fruit trees. She is admirably fitted for this work, her extraordinary long, strong, but light beak allowing her to reach deep within the tree hollows where insects thrive, and hanging nest of the Oropindola, a New World blackbird, and the many succulent fruits that dangle tantalizing on fragile branches, all important time-consuming matters. But Toucan knows that life without fun is not worthy of the name and gathers with her kind to play a game of catch with the fruit. And green and orange bills flash as Toucan and her team become feathered basketball players. Toucan bird bids that you too take time out for fun. Absent yourself from technology and recall that life is to be enjoyed, not endured. It passes soon enough. So everything is going to come to pass for you, but remembering that it is going to go by fast. Wouldn't you rather look back in 60 years and say, I'm really glad that I chose to be true to myself no matter what. I chose to live. I chose to let myself live, because living in a cage, it's too binding and glum, and it's dreary and it's miserable. And I've lived enough of my life being in that cage. I'm done now. You deserve to be seen and you deserve to be free. And the more you let yourself be the goofy, weird person that you are, the more likely it is for you to connect with your soul tribe in very beautiful ways, and much quicker than you would have by trying to maintain some image that just doesn't seem to fit you anymore. It's okay. You've outgrown the need to wear this mask. But the mask itself maybe hasn't presented itself as a mask because it's just been so hammered into you for so long. And then also that as it's been cemented into you, you've been trying to continue to hold on to that without realizing. And that's why this is the secret you didn't know that needs to be revealed, because you're ready to face this part of yourself and you're ready to just let go and be you, and you deserve that. Okay, I love you, Pile 1. You're beautiful energy. You're amazing. And remember that to celebrate yourself. You've got the strength to do this. So this is what I see here. If you felt like this was your reading, leave the little strong arm emoji down below and say, I am strong, fierce, and capable of overcoming all burdens, all barriers, and all obstacles. And if it resonated with you, it means so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you need any more information or would like to support the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. So I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming through to give us this message today. And I hope to see you next time. Bye. Welcome back, my fellow human. If you're drawn to pile 2 with this dice and the 6th house on it, or perhaps you were called to this green jade with the heart chakra seed sound yam on it. Or maybe you were drawn to this card during the shuffle. This should be a reading on revealing a secret you didn't know. So I would like to say that we're all here sharing this human experience together. And if you're new here, welcome. I do things differently here on this channel, so with that being said, if the message resonates, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Triggering statements may arise on the readings themselves, but there's no obligation to force it to fit, while remembering that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. Your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm so grateful to have you here. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop to it. And I just ask that you keep an open mind as we're getting into these readings, because again, it's a secret you don't know. It might not necessarily be about another person. It might be about you and where you're at on your journey. So just putting it out there so you know. Revealing a hidden secret you don't know, pile 2. Revealing a hidden secret you don't know, pile 2. Source, what would you like to share with us today? Okay, we've got the 8th house, we have Pisces energy, and we have Venus. So a lot of unknowns here, right? There's a lot of unknown that's been going on. Now, this can have to do with self-care. It can do with attracting other people into your life. This can do with your finances as well. I do feel like there's a need here to face your fears and to let go of the guilt and the shame that's been piling up from the past. So whatever that has been for you. And I feel like it's just a guilt from maybe not knowing how to care for yourself or not knowing what it is that you needed at those times. This could also be guilt from having to deal with really shady people, right? Like people who are living in the shadow, people who are very disconnected from the world around us, people who were trying to manipulate you into believing things that weren't true. Sometimes we unknowingly shoulder the guilt of that because we're feeling that person on a soul level. And if you're an acute empath, you can actually take that on yourself without realizing it. Even if you're mad at that person, even if you're absolutely shocked and floored at the way that they treated you, it doesn't mean that you won't hold the grief or the anguish or the shame or the blame from that. It can actually mean that that could be driving that even further on your journey, right? So it's like where you could have already let it go if you were just dealing with how you were feeling about it, but now it just continues to persist because you're feeling that soul energy from them as well. I do feel like that's what we're going to be talking about, especially with the dice here. It's just talking about guilt. This feels like guilt for something, feels like blame for something. So this could also be blaming another person. Okay, so let's actually dig in with the tarot, and we're going to see, I'm going to use my Tarot Marseille today. Yeah, it definitely is like hitting my heart, like guilt. Like, oh, I don't know about this. And it's interesting because you chose the heart chakra gemstone, right? So this is something, matters of the heart, matters of love. It could be hard for you to trust another person. And that trust, that lack of trust is lack of self-trust as well. Okay? But the more that you open up to someone, the more antsy you get. The more fear that starts to drive you, because it's like this person's starting to know a lot about me. They have the opportunity to really stick it to me like other people have. Like, I don't want to give someone that power. So I do feel like you may actually cut things off before it gets too deep. And you might see it as a way of protecting yourself. Like, no, I cut people off when they show me they're toxic. But you know, while I agree with that, I do. I also believe that because we're all human, we're naturally going to make mistakes as humans. And sometimes those mistakes can seem toxic because it's just part of the deal, right? Like, we're going to make bad decisions. We're going to make terrible turns on our journey. But just like yourself, I'm sure you could look at parts of your life when you've made a terrible mistake, but did that make you an overall toxic person? You know, and sometimes we forget that when we're learning how to heal ourselves or when we're learning how to overcome past situations. It's like, no, I'm just going to cut them off. And I know Maya Angelou said, you know, when someone shows you who you are, believe them the first time. I get that. But also, if we treat everyone like that for the mistakes that they've had in their lives, we'll never have people we can trust. Who's at Panic at the Disco said, if you don't know who to trust, then trust me, you'll be lonely. Right? Like, and that's the truth. Like, if you don't know who to trust, then you're gonna be lonely on your journey. Yeah, this is self-sabotage. Okay. And it's not seen, that's the thing, it's not seen as a self-sabotage energy, right? Like you're seeing it as a self-preservation energy. Yeah, the 10 of coins. Right? Because it's like, I don't want to be stuck in an unfair situation again. I don't want to keep manifesting unfair relationships in my life. And here's the thing, like discernment is a powerful skill that you learn from being hurt, and you have the gift of discernment, pile 2. But I also feel like you have a tendency to cut people off for really small things, making them seem much bigger than they are. And I've been there too. I know what that is, especially when you start healing from, narcissistic relationships or just very toxic situations where you had forgiven people over and over again and you let them come back in time and time again. And I understand that. I understand it's much easier to keep yourself distanced than it is to try to figure out how to navigate a situation like that again. But also, if you don't communicate with people, how will you ever find that place of grounded emotional maturity to come from? How can you tell someone you hurt me if you just cut them off? Right? Like it's reminding yourself that sometimes people are just going to be people and they're going to make mistakes. And so there's someone here in your life that maybe has made a mistake and you haven't told them that they hurt you, and they can't change themselves because they don't know that. And I feel like for you, it's like, well, what's the point of telling them? Because I've tried that in the past and it hasn't worked. And the people you've been surrounded by in the past were toxic people. They weren't going to change their ways, but you've outgrown that now. And now you've come to a place where it's okay for you to say, hey, I don't like it when you do this, or I don't like it when you said this, that really hurt my feelings, or when you acted like this, it made me feel like you didn't care. Because most people are going to respond to that instead of arguing with you. Toxic people are going to create a situation or a scenario where it's your fault. But if you're not giving people the benefit of the doubt to be human, then you'll always self-sabotage yourself from beneficial connections or even beneficial opportunities. Yeah, there's excuse me. There's a fear of balancing out this energy. Not wanting to integrate the shadow with the light, right? And that's what temperance really talks about, is this integration between two opposing energies. Knowing that we can hold space for both of them. And neither one of them is going to overrule us because we found a grounded, centered place. Okay, but there's like this going back and forth. And there's this, it can talk about emotional preoccupation with oneself, pushing others away who might come to help, like being so overtly connected to, well, I have to make sure that I'm protected and safe, while not giving people room to be people, right? And that's what this feels like. It really does feel like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not, pointing a finger at you like, how dare you do this? I feel like this has been a part of your healing process, and that's 100% okay. But at what point does it go from being a healing process to just being the way that you live your life, never having anybody in your court, never allowing someone to get close enough to be a part of your life, never letting someone come in and celebrate the good things with you, never having someone to celebrate the good things with, and some people can be so obsessed with finding love, but they're holding people at arm's length that they'll never allow anyone to come in to actually fall in love in the first place. And the same thing with friends. That's love, right? That's a form of love. And that's what this feels like. It's like, I'm not in a safe space where I can give and receive love, but the truth is that you have come to a safe space where you can give and receive love. But there's guilt here. And there's blame. And the blame is that everyone's going to treat me like I don't matter. And that's not true. But then a question becomes here is, are you treating yourself like you don't matter? And we can get really resistant at questions like this. We can be like, well, no, of course I think I matter. Of course I believe that I'm worthy. Of course I believe that these good things about myself. But unknowingly, we could be talking to ourselves in a very negative way. But with the Ace of Wands here, this is clear self-sabotage. That's what the Ace of Wands in reverse refers to in the Tarot Marseille, is us getting in our own way. Source giving us an opportunity. We basically take that opportunity and toss it over our shoulder like old salt, saying, oh, well, it's just not what I expected it to be. Bonds grow from diverse and adverse situations, right? You're not going to have somebody in your life that 1000% agrees with everything that you do and goes along with everything that you want to do, just like you would never do that with someone else. But sometimes when we start to heal on this journey, we get it in our heads that this is the only type of connection that I can ask for, because it's the only type of connection that would feel safe after having been dragged through the mud. But with the King of Swords coming out here, Source is saying, like, when these situations arise, instead of cutting yourself off or instead of cutting them off, be brave like the person you are and have that difficult conversation with someone. Like, hey, you know, like, you've called me this since I first met you, and I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now, and I'm sorry I didn't bring it up earlier, but it's finally getting to the point where I can't take this any longer. Okay, this is about facing those fears. This is a fear that's been driving you, and that's why it's revealing a secret you don't know. This happened in pile 1. A totally different energy came out in pile 1, right? But that's the same thing. It's facing a fear. Because the fear is what's unknown. This is the secret, because it's something that's been driven by the subconscious, and it's revealing it to your consciousness so that you can become aware of your actions. When it's not revealed to us, when we're not aware, that's what makes it a secret. It doesn't have to be someone else. It doesn't have to be a situation. It can absolutely be ourselves as well. And that's what this really feels like. There's something here where you're keeping yourself from experiencing true abundance because of a refusal to change, but a need to set boundaries, but a fear of building that up. What does that actually look like? What's up, baby girl? It's okay. Sorry, my dog, she doesn't feel good today, and so she's coming over here to see me. Do you have enough space to get some waters? Here you go, baby girl. 1 second. So there's an opportunity for abundance here, and it feels like in a connection. Okay, it feels like in a connection. This could be a friendship, this could be a love interest, but it's a need to be completely honest about the situation that's unfolding and how you feel in this situation. The King of Swords is not afraid to share his soul truth, not the ego truth, the soul truth. Right? And those are two vastly different things. And sometimes we get caught up in the ego's truth, believing that that's our truth when it's actually not. It's our mask wanting to fight, and it's our mask wanting to hold on. And so we're asking for soul truth here. And the soul truth is setting that boundary, but often it's setting that emotional boundary here. Right? Maybe you want things to move slow. So set that expectation ahead of time, right? And if you haven't, set it now. But I also feel like someone here has said something to you or has acted in a certain way towards you, and maybe you haven't been honest about how that has made you feel. And I feel like this person, the minute that you reveal that to them, they'll actually show you the truth of who they are, whether that's someone who's for you or not for you. And I feel like it's going to surprise you, the outcome. It doesn't feel like it's a terrible situation, but it does feel like it can be blown out of proportion really easily. And that's okay. That's human of us. That's okay, right? There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a part of life. Sometimes we get so emotionally attached that it becomes super overwhelming for us when those situations arise. And especially right now. Right now, it can be hard because we're dealing with a Mercury retrograde in Pisces, right? And so, you know, Pisces especially, and I believe Mars is in Pisces right now, and we just had a whole bunch of planets move away from Pisces, and so Pisces are feeling it, but I feel like if you have, you know, anything in your chart right now can be affected by this. But we have Virgo, and we just went through the Virgo full moon eclipse. And so this is the end of a chapter for both Pisces and Virgos for 1 year and a half. But we have integrity, reverence, and service, right? So that integrity comes from doing what you know is right, even when no one's looking, right? Holding integrity to yourself. You want to be seen as this honest person that you know you are in your heart. But if you're just cutting people off at the first sign of what feels toxic rather than letting them be humans and show up in their human space, you're only doing yourself a disservice by disconnecting yourself that way, right? Then we have the 4th house here, cultural and family roots, home, peace, and comfort. It's because you want to preserve that peace in your life, which is fine. That's understandable. But also, you can have peace while having connection, even if it's scary. Right? Fixed, a very stubborn energy here. We have Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius with stability, persistence, loyalty, and dependability. Fixed signs are very stubborn because they're the peak of each season. They're unchanging. And so this is something that's been fixed in a long time. It's very persistent. This is something that you have relied on after starting your healing journey to keep you from having to get involved with toxic, narcissistic, manipulative connections. Okay. But I don't feel that energy here. I just feel like there's a lot of guilt and a lot of blame that's being brought up here. And sometimes the blame, it can actually be misplaced. What if there were no blame to begin with? What if there was just adult conversation, talking out our problems with each other? What would that bring? What does that look like? But sometimes we might cut ourselves off from doing that because of our fears. So Rainbow Dragon, flipping over here, brings the leap of joy that opens new doors. Have trust, rediscover wisdom, expect miracles, and accept opportunities. And isn't that interesting? I said earlier, it's like sometimes Source gives us this opportunity and we toss it over our shoulders because they're like, oh, it's not what I expected it to be, or it didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen. But that's like, life never unfolds the way that we expect it to. And so sometimes to bring us back into this more aligned, higher vibrational state, we have to trust that opportunities are everywhere and expect that good things are going to happen. So letting go of the pessimism that's tied to the past, right? That's letting go of the past. The past is that pessimistic, no one's going to understand me, no one's going to see me, everyone's going to treat me like I don't matter, or they're going to manipulate me, or it's going to be really toxic, abusive situations. That's the past. So in the present moment, how do you reframe that? It's easy by saying, I should say it's simple. It's not easy. It's simple by saying, I've healed from my past and I choose to redirect my future, knowing that good things await me, including people. Okay, we have the Blue Dragon from the Pleiades, prepares you to accept source healing. So this is a part of your healing process, okay? Accept a heart activation, give and receive heart healing. Heart, we've been talking about the matters of the heart this whole time. So this is about you healing your heart. Okay. And that's the thing. It's like where this is in giving and receiving love. It's hard for you to give and receive love when someone mirrors a past situation. But there's going to be a lot of things that come up that seemingly mirror past situations because you're on hyper alert status. Like, oh, I don't want to get hurt again. Right? But you'll never know how far something can go if you don't let yourself be honest. Grief. Exactly. I understand that losing something is an opportunity to appreciate it. And I feel like this is a part of your grief process as well, letting yourself feel into the grief. You know, I watched a movie. It was a Korean movie. It's called Wonderland. It's on Netflix if you're interested in checking it out. They do have it in English. I like watching them in their original language, but they do have it in English. It's dubbed in English, but it was a really good dub also. I watched it with family who does not like to watch subtitles, so which is fine. But anyways, it was a really great movie, but it was talking about how when people were passing away, they basically uploaded their memories and like a piece of their consciousness into an AI system. And this AI system was connected to a phone, and the phone, they would call you multiple times a day, and you could talk to them every day. You didn't have to, but when they passed away or if they were comatose, then you never actually lost that person. And it was interesting to watch because it was like, this is what we're already doing. We're already trying to run away from our grief, right? And this movie was an example of doing exactly that, like not wanting to have to go through the grief. Like, we're losing a person, but we're not really losing a person because they're still here with us through this AI program. And, you know, grief is sometimes it's hard for a reason, because we lost a part of ourselves with this situation, whether that's losing a loved one or losing a relationship or losing a connection or, you know, whatever it is. The grief is there because we feel like we've lost a part of ourselves to that. And in some ways we have. We'll never be the same as that person once was. And that's okay, because it's a part of our evolution, and it's a part of our growth, and it's a part of our change. But don't deny yourself the opportunity for grief, to heal that grief when it's standing here in front of you through new opportunities, right? You've moved on, and trust that you've healed a lot of that pain and that grief. Whoa, pain on the bottom here. Yeah, this is a painful situation. But I feel like what's going on right now with this situation is mirroring the pain that you experienced from the past, where you felt lonely, where you felt ostracized, where you felt cast aside. And that is being triggered by whatever's happening in this situation again. You know, maybe it's someone who didn't know how you felt, or they didn't know that this affected you the way that it did. But it's like, there's a need for honesty here. Honesty for yourself, but also honesty for them. And I feel like you're going to be surprised by how they show up in regards to this situation. Reflection. Yeah. Confession, prayer, and repentance. Reflecting on yourself. Reflecting on what's happened and how you've shown up, right? Seed, nurture, great growth, potential, and possibility, because there's a great potential here for things to go the distance. Passion, hobbies, preferences, and interests. These are things that you share with one another. I also feel like you're both very passionate about each other. You both really care about each other, but there's this fear of rejection here. Okay, and that's the thing. It's like, I don't want to get rejected. What happens if I tell them how I feel and they say, I don't want you in my life anymore? Then they've shown you who they are. Like, and you have closure to that situation, not wondering years later where, well, if I'd only been honest with them, what if? Now instead you're choosing to be honest with them. Changing your energy, changing how you frame the situation is the most important thing here. Okay? Patience. I accept that everything happens in divine order. Also having patience, you know, if you put a boundary with this person, have patience with them. You know, obviously if they just totally ignore your boundary and stuff like that, that's showing a truth of who they are. But, you know, if they need time to switch, and they need time so that they can honor your boundary, give them that time. You know, not everybody can switch just right away. Some people are capable of that, but not everybody is. And some people are going to make mistakes. They're going to slip up. That's human. Ostrich. Magic remains even while you ground yourself and be practical. So again, the idea of magic coming in here to your life, right? It's almost like you've given up. You've given up that anything good can happen to you. You've given up that this can even be a positive result here. And Source is trying to remind you that how you look at it is everything. Okay? It says, once ostrich flew. Then 65 million years ago, a vast body collided with Earth, and the gigantic ruling reptiles perished, but birds survived and colonized both Earth and sky. Ostrich's wisdom was to choose Earth. So now he pounds over African savanna, and his mate's eggs hatch in the welcoming soil. If ostrich has thundered into your journey, consider how grounded you are. Is your mind always drifting on impractical flights of fancy? Does it whirl in panic? Is it time to be practical and to face reality without fearing you may lose your dreams? Yeah, so this is really, really powerful here. Consider ostrich, who makes even the mundane act of eating magical by swallowing Earth's glittering diamonds to break down through the tough plant material that constitutes his diet, and whose frothy black and white plumes keep him in touch with the dreams of air. With ostrich by your side, the practical can also be the fabulous. And so approaching this with a practical mind, right? Not letting fear rule you, not letting the overthinking keep you from reconnecting, because I feel like this is important to you. And it's just that the past of blame and guilt is coming into play here. And that's whether you're blaming or whether you're holding guilt. Both of them are keeping you from showing up in the place of honesty that you're being asked to show up here for. Okay, but you're capable of doing just that. All right? So this is what I see for you today. If you felt like it was your reading, leave a little feather emoji down below and say, I'm grounded. And in this grounded state, I choose to speak my soul's truth, knowing that it is guiding me to soul connections. And if it resonated with you, it means so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you need anything else, check out the description box. It'll have everything you need. I would like to take this moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this message. And until next time, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with the first house on it, or perhaps you were called to this amethyst gemstone with the seed sound for the crown chakra Om on it, or maybe you felt called to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be a reading on revealing a hidden secret you don't know. So welcome back. If you're new here, thank you for joining us. I do things differently here on this channel. So that being said, if the message resonates, it would mean so much to me if you're to like, comment, and subscribe below. Triggering statements may arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit. And remember that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. And your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift, and I'm deeply grateful to have you here. So let's go ahead and hop to this and find out a hidden secret you didn't know. Also, I just asked to go into this with an open heart and an open mind, because this might not be in regards to someone or something. This could actually have to do with yourself. And that's something that came out with the first two piles, but we'll see what Source wants to say with you, pile 3, okay? So pile 3, revealing a hidden secret you didn't know. Source, what would you like to share today? Revealing a hidden secret you didn't know. Okay, so we've got the 11th house, we have Cancer energy, and we have Neptune. There is someone here. This feels like it's about a person. Okay, so there's someone here that is being passive-aggressive to you, okay? This could be a friend, someone in your community, someone you see on a regular basis. Yeah, it looks like they're being passive-aggressive. They're trying to hide something from you. And we'll see if we find out more about that, but that might not be the whole focus of this reading. Even if that's the question we're looking to, that might not be what it is that you need to know. But I do feel like they're trying to hide something from you. They're trying to hide something with their family from you. They're trying to hide something at home or what they're going through from you. And I feel like it's affecting them in a very powerful way, and they're taking a lot of that out on you. And so this could be someone that you never realized or never felt like was going to show up in this way, and now they're showing up in this way, and it's leaving you absolutely baffled because it doesn't make any sense, right? It's like, well, they've usually are super supportive, or, you know, like I'm always able to talk to them about certain things, but all of a sudden out of the blue, now they're kind of shutting you out, or they're saying really backhanded comments to you, or they're like saying things under their breath that they think that you're not hearing, but you are hearing, that aren't very kind or not very nice. is like they're trying to keep how they're feeling hidden. And I do feel like there's a sense of urgency that's coming through where it's like a need to talk to them about this, a need to kind of clear the air here. And yes, it is their responsibility to tell you how it is that they're feeling, but I also feel like it's okay for you to say something here because of the situation for what it is. There's a need to stand up for yourself is what this feels like. But let's see if we can dig some more into this and sort of show us with the tarot what this is. Yeah, passive aggressive. Codependency. This is someone who could be codependent on you. Like where it seemed like things were okay and there's still just a codependency here. And you could be drawing away from the codependency and they're taking that out on you. They're trying to do things to bring you back because they don't want to feel left alone anymore. But I also feel like some of the things that you're doing might be some of the things that they're doing. So like they might do the silent treatment on you. And so there might be times when you just kind of go silent on them. And it's just so that you can reconnect with yourself. But they're taking it as like a personal attack. And that's not what it is at all. But theirs is a personal attack, it feels like. Or they're trying to make it a personal attack. Yeah, there's a lot of anxiety here. I feel like that's between both of you. Trying to pressure you. Okay. Revealing a hidden secret you didn't know. I feel like... Okay, you're getting 4 cards. I feel like you knew that there was something going on with this person. Like, you know, there was always some kind of toxic connection here. Or there was some kind of just codependent situation that's like unfurling. You were aware of that, but maybe you didn't know how... like what it was that was affecting that at its core. Someone you love. The 2 of Cups on the bottom of the deck. Someone you love. You love them a lot. But it's almost like they're fearful because they're afraid that you're not going to be fulfilling this role in their life that they have anymore. And so it's like they're trying to put this on you. They need that. So it could be your positivity. It could be your love. It could be your support. So I'm saying, like, it feels like there's something that you're giving here where you're helping them out, or you've been helping them out, or you've been there for them. And it just seemed like they were always willing to give back to you. But there's some kind of dynamic here that's been made aware to you recently where you're seeing that this person doesn't give back as much as you may have thought they were. And... yeah. And the thing, okay, yeah. So the thing is that they recognize your growth. They see you growing. They see you thriving. They see you becoming a leader to a lot of people. They see you stepping up into a very positive, emotional, powerful lead where you're sharing love and light with people in a very profound and influential way. And that influence is something that they maybe have coveted at some point. And I feel like it didn't feel like that for you, though. It didn't feel like they were trying to covet it. It felt like they just wanted you to bear the burden of their troubles, their sorrows, or... like, I don't feel like this person actually is super negative in the way that they speak. They could be. But it doesn't feel like that. It feels like this person's actually pretty positive. Or they come across as... I just heard someone say false positive, that is. So, yeah, they could be false positive. They could be someone that tries to paint a positive image, but then it's the undertone is very negative. They also do... I mean, they really do care about you. But they don't want to share you. And I think the fear of sharing you is that other people are going to see how valuable you are, and they feel like they're just going to vibe out of your life. But they're holding on so tightly right now. And I feel like that's the thing. It's like maybe this is someone that you had cut contact with for a while and they came back, and you do care about this person. You're like, I really don't want to lose my friend, or really don't want to lose this connection that I have. And so maybe I'll just kind of tread the waters again and see what's going on. But then it's like you dipped a toe in and they jumped in head first, and you weren't ready for that, because it's like they just tried to go right back to the way things were. But the thing is that this person is very scared, because your love and your positivity has been something that has filled up their empty cup. And they've done everything that they could to come from a place of positivity as well. But they weren't able to match your stride, because they were never giving back to themselves. This is someone who takes care of a lot of people. They take care of everybody but themselves. They don't really understand what self-love means, or what power that can bring back into their life. And because of that, and they see you being able to love yourself, and they feel like you have an infinite cup to pour from, that it's okay to take from that, because you're someone who gives back to everybody that you connect with. And I feel like the reason that I feel this is coming up is it's not exactly the reason you thought, right? You could have just been like, oh, this person's just toxic for me, or this person is just, like they're just super codependent on me. Like they have problems in their own life that they don't want to heal. And while all of that is true, the real reason is that this person actually loves you. They love you so much that they want to almost like put you in a cage, and they don't want bad things to happen to you, but they also are afraid to let good things happen to you, because that means that they won't have access to you anymore. And that is a toxic way of being, right? Like it's like holding on to the butterfly, or I know why the caged bird sings, right? We don't want to capture the most beautiful things in the world. We need to let them be the most beautiful thing in the world with their freedom. That's why they shimmer the way they do. And this person is not really seeing that for what it is. It's like, oh, if I capture pile 3, then they'll shimmer just for me. And not realizing that the more pressure that they're putting on you, the less you can let yourself shine, because you're feeling trapped, and you're feeling overwhelmed, and you're feeling that heaviness of the energy that's coming in here. So there's that codependency. And I feel like that's that passive aggressiveness, is like, I'm going to show up passive aggressively so that I can ensnare them and get them to do what I want. But they're actually creating a situation where they might not have access to you at all in the future. Yeah, they're only seeing this for the surface level connection. And they're not, like, every time you set boundaries with them, they're taking it as a personal attack on them. So like when you're trying to give yourself space from this person, they're taking it like, oh, they don't want to talk to me. So I feel like this is what they might be telling you, like the next time you talk to them, like, oh, like you just don't want to talk to me. Like, you're too busy for me. You have too much going on. And yes, that's a form of manipulation, but I feel like this person's doing it not necessarily intentionally trying to be manipulative, but they're in the state of playing the victim. That's where they're at. They're in the state of playing the victim, and they only see the surface level of this. And the surface level is that every time you guys connect, you make them feel good about themselves, and they don't know how to do that for themselves. They don't realize that there's something deeper here at play, and they're like, oh, it's just pile 3. Pile 3 is the only one who gives this to me. And it's because you're 1 in a million. You're 1 in 8 billion. Right? And yeah, of course you're the only one that's going to give to them that way, because you're the only person that gives the way that you do. And this person loves you deeply. They deeply love you. But their love is almost suffocating. And so it's like, I feel like for you, it's okay for me to deal with this person in short, small bursts. Like maybe once a week I text them, or like every few days I reach out to them, or I answer their questions, or I do this. But for them, they're seeing it as like, oh, they just don't want to make time for me, or they just, like they have this, or they're doing that, or it's because they don't love me the way that I love them. And I feel like you used to really admire this person so much. Like you thought this person was going to be a friend for life, and they might be, but not in the way that you had imagined that they would be. And I feel like for you, you're like, they just don't love me the way that I think that I love them. And that's actually not true. They love you. And I feel like that's a secret that Source wanted to reveal to you today, is that they really do love you, but this is not to make you feel bad about the actions that you've taken. I feel like this is just to kind of reframe the situation. It's okay for you to take space for yourself. And if they're playing the victim, that it's equally okay to be honest about that. Like, there's no need for you to play the victim in regards to our relationship or our connection, because I do deeply love you. But understand that I also have things that I need to face day to day, and I can't just sit around waiting for your texts, or I can't just sit around waiting for your messages. I have other things that I have to attend to that are important too. But I will make time when I'm able to make time for you. You know, and that's okay. And I do feel like there's a need for communication here. But again, it's like they're letting their anxiety force you into situations that are very pressuring here. Very pressuring. But they do feel like you're very precious to them. They do feel like you're a gift in their life. But they're running on a very old paradigm where it's like, well, if they're precious to me, then I must be as equally precious to them, which means they're going to show up exactly the way I show up. But they're showing up from a very codependent space. Which codependency is a form of toxic connections, right? It is, but it doesn't make a person bad, right? It makes them, they're unaware of how they're showing up. Yeah, so we have the South Node, destined to release. Okay, so Source is saying here, like, this is someone that it's okay if you let go. It's okay. But I also feel like this is Source saying, like, you're stepping away from that codependency that you've had in your own life. And so there might be a time where neither one of you really resonate with each other anymore, because you're coming from a healed space. And to someone who's living in a codependent life, healed energy can feel very brutal, and it can feel very sharp, and it can feel very direct in a way that they're not ready to receive. And that could be something that's coming up here. Okay, on the bottom, yeah, transform with Pluto energy. Yeah, you're definitely on this precipice of going through another transformation, another growth, another understanding, another development. And they're not. Okay, but I feel like because you're shifting, it naturally is going to shift the dynamic of this connection. And for you, I just feel like it's just like, what do I do? Where do I go from here? You know, like, I love this person too. I care a lot about this person, but you know, what do I do when it's turned out like this? And that's going to differ from person to person. But the main thing here is to listen to your intuition. We have the orange dragon. Bring soul families and communities together. Spread belonging, warmth, oneness. Bring people everywhere together. So, wow, we're talking about this person being a part of your community. Okay, and I feel like maybe for you, it's just allowing yourself to take unburdened space when you need it. Regardless of how this person feels about that, it's okay for you to be honest. Like, sometimes I'm gonna draw away. But know that that's nothing to do with you. And if you take it personally, it's only gonna hurt worse. Because it's not anything personal. So again, it just feels like there's a need for communication here. This person's letting their emotions get the best of them. But they very well could be a part of your soul family. But I feel like for you, it's just learning how to communicate from a place of knowing, like, I know that it hurts when I'm telling you something honestly, but that was never my intention. And it only hurts because they're seeing the world from black and white. You're either with me or against me. And if you're with me, it means you do things exactly the same way I do, which is the illusion, right? Yeah, fire dragon burns up the lower energies around you. You are safe and protected. Be determined and inspired. Clear your soul pathway. So it's like you're burning away those impurities between you and them. And honestly, that's the thing. I feel like they do respect you, and I feel like they do respect your boundaries, but it's just, they definitely internalize the moments that you need for yourself, or like I said, it's like they want to entrap you because they see you going places. They see you growing. They see you glowing. They see you changing. And it's not that they're against that. They're just so afraid of losing you. They're so afraid of being alone. And this could be, maybe they are a positive person, right? Again, that false positivity coming through. It's like where you're still from a victim mindset. And I'm sure you can relate to this too, from that unhealed space where you were still a victim, but you were still super positive. And it's such a weird conundrum to be in that energy. But when you heal from that, you realize like, oh yeah, I was in, false positivity too, or I was in false negative energy too. And it didn't make me a bad person, but you can relate, right? It's that energy of being able to relate to where they're at while knowing that it's not necessarily a healthy place to come from either. Fear. Yeah, I realize that I'm testing my resolve to live in the energy of love. And I feel like the more you show up for yourself, the more it pushes this person to see from a place of love. Interesting. So on the bottom of this deck, I'm going to get one of these, but the fear card was on the bottom of this deck. Interesting. So we have fear. Yeah, they're very afraid of the unknown. They're very scared about what potentially could happen if you like say you're trying to become famous, right? Or say you're just trying to build communities, or you're moving to another country, or you're moving to another location. Like they're just scared. They're scared because things are changing and they don't know what part they're going to play in that. But just because you guys move away from each other, that doesn't mean that you still won't be in each other's lives. This could even be a sibling. Someone you really care about and you know that they love you too, but it still could have that victim mentality mindset. There's just an old mindset that's trying to hold on, and that mindset is creating a lot of dissonance between you and them right now because you're outgrowing that mindset, where before you still were in that mindset when you resonated with them, right? But you're growing and they're being given the opportunity to vibrate into a new level of consciousness, or they can choose to stay the same. But just knowing that it will feel sharper. The more you vibrate to a higher level, the more sharper it will feel connecting with you. The more it will feel like, they'll internalize those moments of true unconditional love. Peace. But I do feel like they want to bring peace back between the two of you. They do love you. They care. Like how much they love you it's huge. It's huge. Like they admire your bravery. They admire what you do, but they're also scared that they're going to lose you. And they don't want to lose you because they really do love you so much. Okay. Revealing a secret you didn't know. Yeah. All right. On the bottom of the deck, we have spendthrift, waste, debt, and gambling. So if they lose you, they feel like the time they spent with you, it was a waste. Or like I gave so much of myself. Was it just a waste that I gave so much of myself? You know how when we've spent time with someone that didn't end up working out for us, we felt like, oh, it was just a waste of our life. But again, that's that victim mindset at play. Sunset, decline, fade, and aging. This could be someone that's much older than you. And they feel like they don't have very much time left. And they're coming from that old mindset from how they grew up, right? Like, I watched this short today that was absolutely insane, where it was like they blamed the millennials. Okay, and I'm going to tell you real quick about this, because that's the type of mindset that this person could be coming from. They're blaming the millennials on breaking families apart. Like, you don't let your family come over for Thanksgiving dinner anymore. You don't let anybody gather anymore. You don't, you're just saying no to everybody in the family. You celebrate holidays by yourself. And I love what the woman said. She says, what they're really mad about is that you're saying no to letting Uncle Frank come over when he makes all the women's skin and all the children's skin crawl. You're saying no to Grandpa George because you don't feel comfortable leaving me alone with Grandpa George. So why would I feel comfortable leaving my kids alone with Grandpa George and inviting him into my house? You're saying that it's okay for us to all gather and huge drama, and everybody blurts out all their problems to one another and blames one another when I just want my peace, right? You're blaming me for toxic family dynamics falling apart. And so for them, they could be coming from that mindset where it's like, you're letting this fall apart, but you're like, no, I'm healing and I'm trying to relearn how to connect with people in a healthy way. So you're moving on the journey, right? We have process, journey, growth, path, and experience. And this is what you're learning. You're learning through the journey. You're learning through the experience, and you're not letting that hold you back. And that's scary to them because they've let the journey hold them back. Okay? Success. Yeah, I know that there's no greater goal than to love. And that's something that they're afraid of here. They're afraid of your success taking you away from them. That's why they're so frustrated. And that's why that frustration mirrors in your relationship with them. Right? It's like, I can't deal with this codependency anymore. And that's okay. Like, if that's what you choose, that's okay. But I do feel like Source is saying here, like, do what's best for you, right? Don't do and I will always say this, like the beauty of tarot is that it gives us an opportunity to trust our intuition, not to listen explicitly to what the cards say, but to let that be a guide for us to knowing that we can tap into our own intuition. But I know there are a lot of people out there who explicitly listen to exactly what the cards say. And then when things go awry, they're like, oh, it was the card's fault. It was the reader's fault. And that's not what tarot's for. That was never the intention of tarot. Like, tarot has the opportunity to show us open doors that we might have otherwise missed. And I feel like that's something that's important for you here. It's just reminding yourself that there's an opportunity to trust yourself. You want that community. You want that soul tribe. Is this person blocking you from allowing soul tribe to come in? Or are they a part of your soul tribe, but they're just not where you're at? And, that was something that I did talk about in another pile as well. So you may have resonated with another pile. And there's never any obligation to watch more than one. But it's just like the fact that no matter what, and no matter how much we heal, we still have to let humans be humans. We're going to make human mistakes. We have to give people grace when they make human mistakes too. I'm not saying to invite everybody in that's intentionally going out of their way to hurt you, or that is trying to be super manipulative or anything like that. What I'm saying is that sometimes we need to step away from the constant cutting people out just for the sake of being afraid of letting ourselves be vulnerable, and know that we're going to make mistakes, and the same that other people we love are going to make mistakes too, but that doesn't mean that we give up on love, right? And so that's something here. It's like opening up to that. And quickly, if you watched all three piles, leave a purple heart down below. That's for my Purple Heart Club. And I appreciate anybody that spends any amount of time with me here. Yeah, look, we have chat, exchange of information, disclose information, and inquire. So for this to be the last card to come out, I do feel like there's a need for a conversation here. There's a need to talk about something here with this person. Like, they care about you, but maybe they don't know that they're hurting you. Or maybe you don't, like having this conversation with them and being honest with them, it's going to help them let go of those codependency tendencies that they might not even be aware that they're displaying. Right? Like, I'm going somewhere and I love that you're a part of my life, but I can't just stop my whole day to make sure that I'm supporting you 1,000% of the time. That's unrealistic, right? Like, I still have things I have to do. It's okay, Angel. So I'm going to take a look at this card and read it from the book. Ancient Wing. Dare to be the first and dare to be different. And that's the thing. Like, they're aware that you're different and you're the first person that sees the world the way that you do, that they have really loved the way that they love. Like, they really admire everything about you. And you inspire them in a lot of different ways. But it's also that inspiration that makes them scared that you're not going to be there for them in the future. And I feel like that's something that's really hard for them to deal with. And so they get lost in their own minds. And when they get lost in their own minds, they end up projecting that fear out onto you. It says 150 million years ago, Archaeopteryx, Greek for ancient wings, I probably butchered that, first glided beneath Earth's primeval skies. Clothed in feathers of vivid hue, the first bird to grace the earth, Ancient Wing was dinosaur transformed in 50 million years in the making. Now her kind have populated all earth, for Ancient Wings was the genesis of birdom. In life, as in evolution, someone must first be the first to invent the extraordinary, to see hitherto undreamed of connections, to understand exactly what is needed. In evolution, Ancient Wing dared to be different, to be the first, and now she advocates that you, too, keep your own counsel and not be swayed by the comments of others. She further reminds you that the history tells of many whose brilliance was mocked and discarded, only for them to be crowned with the laurel leaves of victory later. So they see your progress and they see that you're going to be successful because you have so much to offer. And I feel like daring to be first is maybe being the first to communicate with them in regards to this connection as well. And setting those solid boundaries, and also reminding them that boundaries are for my good and your good, so that we can maintain appropriate respect for each other. It's nothing personal. This is about our safety, our emotional safety, our physical safety, our spiritual safety, our mental safety. That's what this is, right? And so I feel like that if that's what you feel called to, then you're both are going to really benefit. But I feel like the secret that was revealed today is that maybe the reason you thought that this person was acting the way that they were acting, it actually has nothing to do with that initial thought that you had. It's because they love you and they're so scared of losing you. And I feel like that might actually surprise many of you, because you thought it was just kind of like a fly-by-day connection. Like, oh, it was just one of those, you know, like it wasn't that deep. But for them, it's always been that deep. And it's been powerful. Okay, so this is what I see here for you today. If you felt like this was your reading, leave the little black crow emoji down below and say, I choose to spread my wings into speaking my soul truth, knowing that it is through this truth we allow connections to flourish. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you're to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. I would like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this message today. And until next time, Pile 3, stay human. Bye.